No, stop. You missed my birthday. It was days ago. Although, when I think about my birthday, I find myself reflecting on the past. It's kind of hard not to, you know? Early days of gaming for me. Mega Man 2. Some of my fondest memories. Though I grew up on Mega Man 2 and would actively rent Mega Man 3, there was a little title that started it all. Vulgus. Mega Man. As a gaming company, Capcom was legendary. The company was monster and it hit the gaming world by force with many incredible series, such as Ghosts and Goblins, Street Fighter, Mega Man, Resident Evil, and Monster Hunter. In 1987, Mega Man set the groundwork for a series that would release a new game almost every year for the next 11 years. Call of Duty, eat your heart out. Not counting the spin-offs, between 1987 and 1998, Mega Man has had 9 games released into its pantheon. And if you count the Mega Man X series as well as the Game Boy games, you can bump that total up to 18. 18 core games in 11 years. If only pandas were as productive. But are they good? Well, I'm happy to say, unlike Call of Duty, Mega Man 2 is one of my favorite games. And it's more than childhood nostalgia that puts it there. But you might be asking, what about the others? Watch on, dear viewers. First off, the original Mega Man's credits belong to 7 individuals. That's right, 7! In 1987, Akira Kitamura's design for Mega Man was refined by the renowned legend, Keiji Inafune, who designed Mega Man's iconic 8-bit sprite. Inafune took inspiration from Astro Boy, Casshern, and Time Boken, as well as American superhero comics to design the super fighting robot known as Mega Man. Or Rockman as he's known in Japan. The name rock is in part a reference to the music genre, as well as the rock, paper, scissors nature of these games. For those unfamiliar, the Mega Man series is known for Mega Man's ability to acquire the weapons of the enemies he defeats, to use against other robot masters. Each robot master has a specific weakness to another. Geez, James, get on with it! Alright, enough history. Mega Man, let's kick this pig. The story begins with Dr. Wright, or Light. Dr. Light built 6 industrial robots to help mankind, but they've been reprogrammed by the mad scientist Dr. Wily in his attempt to dominate the world. Dr. Wright has one chance to stop Dr. Wily. You play Mega Man, a robot redesigned to go to Dr. Wily's base, Monsteropolis, and save mankind. In a motif that will be continued for almost 3 decades now, you are given the choice of the levels you want to play, rather than forcing the player on a set path, like so many other action-adventure games of the time. Upon selecting a robot master, you enter their level. Each has a varying theme and design, challenging the player in different ways. Some levels seem very well designed. For example, Gutsman's level sets you upon these gondola-esque platforms. The very first track is unbroken, and it allows Mega Man to fearlessly ride back and forth without danger. Upon discovering the next gondola, you notice there's a break in the line in which the platform drops down. This teaches the player of what is to come before they have to encounter it. Similarly, in Fireman's domain, you start in a zigzagging chamber with turrets known as screw bombers. Yep, they're called screw bombers. As you climb the ladders in this area, the screw bombers fire off their Okay. Who wrote this?
You did, James.
Did I proofread it?
No, I did, and I added a few things for you.
As Fireman's level opens up, the various turrets fire their volley of bullets, all of which miss Mega Man as he's safely out of the way. This informs you of the turret's firing pattern, allowing you to learn how they shoot when you encounter them. Or not. These are great examples of level design. It's a fair way to teach the player without having to explain anything. The players are rewarded for being observant and punished for being rash. Now that I've shown you how great the level design is, I'm going to let you experience hell with me. Iceman's level is Capcom's way of teaching us about Dante's 9th layer of hell, Cocytus reimagined in this slapdash atrocity of a level. It seems whatever sense the level designers had was sadly only a short lapse of sanity. After a brief encounter with some crazy razies, Mega Man plunges into the river of wailing itself. And yes, dear viewers, there will be some wailing. Just wait. The water mechanic is poorly thought out. Mega Man moves slower in the water, but none of his enemies are affected. This is not bad, it adds a layer of challenge, but compared to how the sequels majestically handled the water, well, I guess that's not really fair to do, but I digress. Beyond the first area is a halfway point, and the true beginnings of hell. Enter the infamous disappearing and reappearing blocks. The pattern here is simple, and you have ample time to memorize it, if you didn't have this infuriating spine zooming around, but guess what? You get past that, and you get to do it again, but the blocks are slightly more complex this time. Okay, you did it. Yay! Now all you have to do is ride these trigger-happy helicopter enemies called footholders. Oh, Capcom, your naming system knows no bounds. And these little fellas like to fly in seemingly random paths. And if you mess up, back to the beginning, and commence the lamentation. Wait, stop it there. Go back, and slowly. I'm just gonna let that sink in. As for the bosses, the game goes from punishingly difficult with the elemental-themed Fireman, Iceman, and Elecman, to the asininely easy Cutman, Bombman, and Gutsman. I mean, with the Ice Slasher, fighting Fireman is reduced to standing and shooting him more than he shoots you. Not the most engaging fight. But thanks to an error in the coding, or deliberate mistake, you're able to pause the game as you hit an enemy, and unpause the game rapidly, and the game re-registers the hit, allowing you to defeat some bosses with a single shot. There are some fights, like the Yellow Devil, where you might need this trick, as the boss deals a punishing amount of damage per hit, and is only vulnerable for a few seconds. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it gets 18 attacks before you get to hit it once, and it gets another 18 afterwards. Unless you are excessively coordinated, there's just no logical way to defeat him without cheating. At least a little bit. For the final stage, the game presents you with oh, no. Let's just stop there for a second. At this late in the game, the player is very familiar with the controls and how to progress through a level. Logically, we start this stage by scaling these steps and ascending the ladder. The game gives the player a few seconds before every level to assess what they need to do. So there is absolutely no reason to not start advancing. Of course, if you do not slow down, the player will reach this point exactly. You can probably see how this is panning out. In the final stage, it's not long before you are presented with this teleporter, and thus the final battle begins! Oh, right, after you defeat Bombman, Fireman, and Gutsman again. The first and last aren't so bad, but Fireman seems to be built deliberately to whittle down your health. Unless you cheat. Just before the big bad last boss, you get a moment of reprieve, and a single weapon recharge. No health back from that asshat Fireman, just a single weapon to be refilled by half. It's a good thing Dr. Wily's such a chump. Well, sort of. So the game had hard parts. Big deal. Many games back then were hard. Get good. Right, Dark Souls? But it's an artificial difficulty that bothers me. When you are making life or death platforming jumps, you don't want to leave anything to chance, be it a glitch or some form of randomized coding. The game never tells you about the necessity of the magnet beam, but it's absolutely required to pass an area at the end of the game. Of course, the instruction manual instructs you to pick it up, but even in the late 80s and early 90s, having the instructions to these games was rare, especially if you were only renting the game. That's right, youngsters. There used to be these buildings filled with film and games, and you could borrow those games for as long as a week for only a few dollars. The point being, if you forgot about the magnet beam, you could be stuck not knowing what to do. This could turn a lot of people off. Hell, backtracking for it could turn a lot of people off as well. This isn't just some item that rewards the players for finding it. It's an item that you must have in order to beat the game. You must have it, and it can easily be missed. In my opinion, this is a serious design flaw. I feel like I've been ragging on about this instant classic, but there are a few good qualities about it. For instance, the music. If you have ever played a Mega Man or Mega Man X game, you will recognize the incredible music. This one time I was out, and my phone started to ring. The first couple notes of Mega Man 2's intro started playing, and I quickly turned it off. But just those few notes, and somebody leaned over to me and said, "Hey, you like Mega Man?" Music in these games are punchy, energizing, and memorable. Minami Matsume, challenged with a system that would only allow 3 notes to be heard at one time, managed to compose some of the most iconic songs in game history, including the unforgettable Game Start tune in Mega Man. As far as graphics go, the game was cutting edge. With such crisp, bright art, it's hard to complain. Every character and enemy was well portrayed and understandable, and the levels provided a diverse array of colorful environments. While I can agree with some reviews that state that this is a classic, I do not think that it's a good game. Aesthetically beautiful and conceptually brilliant, Mega Man fails due to mediocre design and faulty coding. Their coder, credited as HMD, does rectify his mistakes in the next installment, but as Mega Man 1 stands, it's a bit of a mess. Mega Man set the table for one of the most beloved franchises, but the feast is yet to come. As it is, Mega Man 1 will just leave you hungry and upset. It's one of them trick candles. It'll light back up in a minute. Okay, it's not one of those trick candles.